Hello, and welcome back to more Films That Are Constant Critique, where we take a look at films, some good, some bad, and some downright awful. I'm Bongo Baikov, joined by our host, Maverick, Dren, and Zaria. This week, we are taking a look at the rather strange film, Inframan, also known as the Super Inframan.
I believe this movie might have inspired Power Rangers. Just a hunch. Yeah.
You might be onto something.
I mean, this thing was definitely ripping off Ultraman, that's for sure. So yeah, Inframan, aka Super Inframan, was released on August 1st, 1975 in Hong Kong.
Does that make it the first Hong Kong film we've done?
Yes. And it was the first Chinese superhero movie, too, so there's that as well. Making history with this one.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the second oldest movie we've done on the podcast, behind Thing from Another World, which came out in 1951.
Huh. Okay.
We haven't done that many movies that were made before Star Wars, so maybe we should
not really.
Maybe we should branch out a little bit more. We'll do the Giant Claw at some point, maybe. You know?
Yeah. Honestly, this might be getting ahead of myself. I would love to see more movies made by these guys.
There are
Inframan.
Quite a few to choose from.
Yeah.
But speaking of those guys, it was produced by the Shaw Brothers, who made a lot of Hong Kong action movies. Another well-known one is Mighty Peking Man, which was a King Kong ripoff. Some of their movies were part of the Wu-Tang collection. I don't know if you ever heard of this.
I have, yes.
Okay, so... But for anybody that doesn't, the Wu-Tang Clan created their own line of, VHS tapes. They, released some old, martial arts movies and, retitled them. So, you have, Old Dirty Kung Fu, for example, or, Invincible Armor, stuff like that. I think there was one that had Wu-Tang in the title, but
I'm pretty sure because I'm pretty sure they got their name. Yeah.
And the only reason I've even heard of these is because AVGN did a video of his DVD and VHS collection, and these were in his VHS collection. I'm like, what the hell are these? And I have seen a few of them, and they're something. But yeah, they did a bunch of movies that were included in that. The cast. Now, I was really curious about the cast of this, because watching this, I felt like I'd seen some of them before.
And have you?
And unsurprisingly, some of them were in Hong Kong action movies, and guess what? I've seen more than a few Hong Kong action movies. Of course, this movie stars Jet Jaguar from Godzilla vs. Megalon.
Oh.
No, it doesn't. But I mean, Inframan kind of looks like... But
yeah.
Although that would be Japanese, not Chinese. One of the cast members is Bruce Lee, who...
I noticed that, and I was like, hang on, is that some guy just named like him, or did they misspell his name? But no, it's just spelled like him.
Bruce Lee was a famous Bruceploitation actor, which if anybody doesn't know what that is, so after Bruce Lee died, they started making a bunch of Bruce Lee ripoffs starring actors that looked like him and had similar names. One of them was Bruce Lee. And Bruce Lee was in one of the more famous Bruce Lee ripoff films. It was called The Clones of Bruce Lee, and it's as ridiculous as you would think from that title. Hell,
yeah, no, that
honestly,
sounds kind of insane.
We should do some of those on the podcast because some of them are fucking ridiculous. Dragon Lives Again. That would be a perfect podcast right there. And actually, the guy who played Inframan, Danny Lee, he was also in a Bruce Lee ripoff.
Oh, good.
Bruce Lee and I can't. I'm trying to remember if I've seen that one. Because I've seen a lot of those Bruce Lee ripoff films, because some of them are unintentionally hilarious. Okay, I've not seen that one, but maybe I will at some point. Because why the hell not? Danny Lee is also in the John Woo movie The Killer.
Oh.
And there's another actor in this who was in a John Woo movie. The guy that played the professor was in the John Woo movie A Better Tomorrow.
Huh. It's a lot of John Woo connections.
So, let's talk about the poster for a bit, or one of them at least. So one of the posters of this...
There's a lot. If you're looking at the poster, I think you're looking at... There is a lot going on there.
So one of the posters has the Superman logo on it. Because, I mean, Super Inframan, Superman, so, okay. And then the taglines for this. This one doesn't have any on it, but what one of them is is it this one? Yeah, here it is. The Man Beyond Bionics, the ultimate in science fiction.
This is also a great poster, but for different reasons.
This one looks like a James Bond poster, kind of.
It kind of does.
With the, like, explosions going, because this was what, 1975? That kind of looks like some of the early Roger Moore Bond posters, like Live and Let Die and Man with a Golden Gun. They kind of look like that. And then this one. Now, the star of the wars that ravaged planet Earth. In all the galaxy, no greater spectacle.
That is all of these are fantastic. I feel like this one's a bit misleading.
The star of the wars. Was this before or after a certain war that took place in the stars?
That's an interesting point.
Because it was released in 1975.
Yes, that's 2 years before Star Wars.
I don't know when it was released in the U.S.
This has to be after. At the very least, this poster was made after.
Maybe this was like a reissue of it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make any sense. So I don't know. Anyway. Because it makes him sound like an alien, but he's not, which we'll get to. I also watched the trailer for it, and one tagline was 6 million light years beyond believability. Oh man, they know how to market their movie, that's for sure.
They do.
I mean, you look at these posters, I mean, this looks like a movie that, like, you know, if I was like 12 when I saw this, I'd be like, you know what, I want to watch that. That looks fun. Or like back when I was like super into like Power Rangers and stuff, you know, if I'd seen that, I'd be like, okay.
Because you made the comment earlier that it feels like a precursor to Power Rangers.
Yeah.
And like it really does, like, especially the visual style. Of not just Inframan, but the monsters even feel like...
Do you want to get into initial thoughts
now
that you've mentioned that? Okay,
yeah.
so I I'll start. I had seen this before, or well, parts of it maybe, but I couldn't remember much of it aside from the villain's name, which we'll get to for sure, and that this felt like Power Rangers. Which I used to watch Power Rangers a lot as a kid, so this felt kind of nostalgic in a weird way. And this was pretty entertaining. There's a ridiculous number of fight scenes in this. Weird costumes, strange set design. The plot makes no sense. It was very short, and the pacing was fast, albeit not the fastest we've had on the podcast. That would probably still be like Crank or Turkish Star Wars.
Yeah. Maybe Evil Dead 2, but that's fast in a good way.
It's going to be a hard movie to describe, though, but overall, I had fun watching this. I was so glad we did this for the podcast. Okay, you can go now.
So, I have a friend who actually bought this movie a couple years ago.
Oh, really?
And so,
wow.
he showed me the last fight scene in the movie.
That's the best part.
And I saw it, and it stuck in my head for a while. And then, I forget exactly how it got brought up between us, but when we were trying to figure out what episodes to do in the future, this got brought up, and I was like, yes, I want to watch Inframan based off of this one scene that I've, seen.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember whose idea it was to...
Because I think you brought it up, and then I was like, I want to watch this movie.
Yeah. I can't remember if I'd seen the whole thing, but I know I saw enough of it that I knew, like, yeah, that would make a good podcast, because it's pretty insane.
Yeah. So, this was my first time watching it in full. The pacing is sort of all over the place. There's moments where it goes so insanely fast, it's almost impossible to tell what's happening. And then whenever it needs to give us exposition, it slows down quite a bit. But overall, it has this very unique energy to it.
Again, like Power Rangers.
It's got somewhat psychotic editing that more than once made me burst out laughing.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of passion that went into this, you can tell. Like, a lot of the sets actually look pretty good. The choreography and fight scenes look pretty good. And I don't know whether or not to criticize the quality of the writing, because I don't know if it was just issues with translation into English with the dub and all of that, so I won't harp on that too much. But overall, I wouldn't say that it's a great movie, but I would say that it is a very fun movie.
It definitely, yeah. I mean, it looks like a movie where the people that made it, like, they probably knew, okay, this isn't gonna, like, win awards, but they had fun making it. And
yes, you can really tell they had fun with it.
That translates to, like, the experience of watching it. Now,
yeah.
But getting into, you saying it's not a great movie, apparently this has, and we haven't had this before, this has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wait, hold on, what?
I'm not joking. Granted, it's only 6 reviews, but I mean, that's pretty impressive, yo.
And if you look at the audience score, it's 75% with over 1,000 ratings. That's actually really impressive.
So yeah, we haven't had a 100% movie yet.
I guess I'll take it back. It's a perfect movie. I have no notes.
The closest, okay, before this, the closest we had to 100%. Do you want to guess? Actually,
let me think for a second. I'm gonna guess it was The Dark Knight.
No. But I will say this: it is a sequel, like
Oh, it
the
is a sequel.
Dark Knight and
Oh, well, is it Empire Strikes Back?
Fury Road, 97%.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, the Inframan is now our highest rated movie on Rotten Tomatoes. Not on IMDb though.
That's pretty good.
Not on IMDb though. Not even close. And speaking of critical reception, Siskel and Ebert did an episode on guilty pleasures.
Yeah.
And this was one of Roger Ebert's picks. Apparently, he really enjoyed Inframan.
Huh.
And Leonard Maltin, what do you want to guess he thought of it?
I'm gonna assume that he actually had fun with this one. I'm gonna say he gave it a 3.
Yes, actually, you got it right.
Yeah, it's just as good as Batman Forever.
I think the only thing it has in common with that is, like, they both have a psychotic energy to them. Some of the stuff, no, not quite. But yeah, so he said it was action-packed with gloriously corny dialogue, dubbed in parentheses, outlandish costumes and sets, adequate special effects, great fun. And you know what? Fair. That actually isn't too far off.
That is pretty fair, actually. I'll agree with Mr. Maltin on that one.
Yeah, and then agree to disagree on most other things. Because apparently we won't get into that. Maybe at some point we should just do an episode on Leonard Maltin or something, or like...
Yeah, just looking at movies he
reviewed. Didn't you order his board game?
I did. I actually played around with it with my family. Because the whole premise of it is that basically someone reads out a movie title and everyone has to write like a Leonard Maltin style review for the movie,
basically
having never seen it. So yeah.
And so how did that go?
I don't remember. It's been a while. I remember some of them were pretty funny. So that could be part of the episode, was just reading out some of the answers for that, but
I guess you'd have to have more than 2 people to do that, I guess. So yeah, I thought it would be funny if like we could do like a trivia episode or something. I got like upstairs like movie trivia games. We could try doing some of those at some point, maybe.
Yeah.
I would try to pick ones that you would know instead of like rigging it, you know. Okay, so but either way, Leonard Maltin, despite what he thinks of Inframan, he's still your mortal enemy, basically.
Yeah, no, we can agree on this one thing, but other than that.
Now the plot of this thing, oh my god.
The plot is very special.
Okay, so this takes place in the year 2015. Or at least according to Wikipedia.
Yeah.
The main villain is named Princess Dragon Mom. Which is what Daenerys' name would be if Game of Thrones was an anime, I would assume.
Yes.
I'm surprised Princess Dragon Mom never said Dracarys in this, but anyway. Princess Dragon Mom, that name.
I want to know why they chose that name, though, because like you could have done Princess Dragon Mother, which would have sounded like at least a little bit more villainy, but they chose to call her just Dragon Mom.
That is in the English dub, reason. Though. In the original version,
in the original, it was Demon Princess Elzebub.
Okay, that sounds a little bit more threatening than Princess Dragon Mom. But I mean, the dragon part of the name is fitting, as we'll find out. Skeleton ghosts, that's what they were called.
Yeah.
They actually have the name. Okay, maybe I should consult this when we're...
Yeah, no, the Wikipedia page has the names of the main characters and, like, all the monsters.
That's hilarious, actually. I might go back to that at some point. Okay. So, Princess Dragon Mom is 10 million years old. I think that might be the oldest character we've had on the podcast.
I think you're right.
Even older than Dave the Photon, maybe. Although I don't know how old.
Hold on. How old was Dave the Photon?
He was at least 1 million years old. We know that because of the title.
Yeah,
card.
let me look up a Cassini Space Odyssey.
But I don't know
again,
how old he was
states.
before that. Like,
oh, that's fair.
How old are photons? I guess.
Yeah, I guess he's a little older than 1 million years, but that's all we have. So
it's either one of them is like. For instance, Dragon Mom looks pretty good for being 10 million years old. I gotta say that.
Yeah, she must have a good skincare routine.
I guess. And she was part of a race of superhumans that used to rule the Earth. But I guess she just finally woke up after the volcano went off.
Yeah, they never explain why she was dormant this whole time, why they were trapped in this mountain. She just is, and now it's everybody's problem.
Yeah, Wikipedia doesn't help on that either. But yeah, she wakes up and starts causing disasters around Earth. She has these monsters with her that look like rejects from a 70s Godzilla movie. And she decides, I'm gonna take over Earth. A scientist, decides, okay, we need somebody who can defeat this menace, and he creates Inframan by injecting a guy with adrenaline and giving him the power of a nuclear reactor.
And his Inframan's incredible superpowers are so nebulous that he kind of just develops them at random.
I was gonna ask, I take it that injecting someone with adrenaline and the power of a nuclear reactor wouldn't do this?
Believe it or not, no.
Okay. This might have even more absurd science than Crank or, like, Superman 4, but, well, maybe not Superman 4, but close. But yeah, apparently that combination of adrenaline and nuclear power creates a Power Ranger. And he has to stop Princess Dragon Mom and her minions. Yeah, there's the plot. It was
Yeah, that's basically it.
But I mean, it was pretty easy to follow. Well, given that, like, it's pretty straightforward. It's like, as it's basic, like, it's really, but I mean, you know what's going on. Kind of like Mortal Kombat, come to think of it. Like, unless was there any, did I leave out anything important? I don't.
That's really the basic plot. It's just Inframan hunting down all these monsters.
Okay, let's talk about this fucker. The beginning of this, and I'll be honest, I didn't really split this up into pros and cons. I was kind of all over the place.
To be fair, this is a hard movie to take notes on.
It is, yeah. So the beginning of this, there's like this electronic music, which apparently was stolen from Japanese shows, like Ultra.
Of course it was.
Ultra 7 and Mirror Man, and if you look those shows up, they're exactly what you would think they are. I even, like, watched a few, like, an episode a piece of both of them, and I was like, yeah, this kind of feels like Inframan. Even the costumes, I was like, oh, yeah. Also, the credits were, like, really flashy. It was, like, just, oh my goodness. If you have epilepsy,
Not a good movie for it, because there's a lot of flashing in this movie.
Every time Inframan, like, transforms, yeah, that you get something like that. I also wrote in my notes, can we watch something with a coherent plot for once? And
no, we're not allowed.
Kind of and kind of not, because to be fair, again, this does establish what the plot is pretty quickly, but it's just...
Yeah.
The thing is, the plot is just kind of nonsensical.
And so, something you said is, it was kind of hard to split this into pros and cons. I think what I have here first really demonstrates that, because the opening of the opening scenes of the movie...
Oh, I was laughing just at the opening.
Yeah, no, there's a lot that I like about the opening, and a lot that I don't like about the opening.
Because the opening... Okay, so the very first scene, you get this school bus with singing kids, and then a dragon lands on the road, disappears, and then the road collapses immediately after it disappears. What?
And then the city is on fire.
Yeah, did you know it cuts so abruptly to buildings on fire? I was like,
what is happening? Why are we in the city? We were just in the country. Why is it on fire? What's happening?
So much fire too. Like, it doesn't give you any room to breathe at all. It's just like, oh, the roads broke down, and now, oh, everything is on fucking fire, apparently. What? And then we cut to a control room with Tetris blocks on flashing signs.
Which is like a defense station against monsters, I guess?
Yeah.
So real quick, to back up to those first scenes, the dragon that flies and lands on the road looks 100% like a rubber suit.
It does, yeah. Everything in this looks like a rubber suit when it comes to the monsters.
And that jump cut to the city is like so abrupt, and it makes no sense, and it's confusing.
I know.
But the city on fire looks just fantastic.
It didn't look too bad, yeah. I mean, I've been watching a bunch of Godzilla movies recently, and I'm like, yeah, it looks a little bit better than something out of, like, say, Godzilla versus Megalon or something like that.
But like, I was especially
this movie was
like
kind of reminding me. This movie was kind of reminding me of Godzilla versus Megalon, not just because of like Jet Jaguar, you know, but like it's just the tone of it was kind of, you know. And some of the costumes,
I was especially
like
thinking
Megalon.
when you see like the wide shot of the city on fire, it looks pretty impressive.
Okay. And also, like, okay, but back to the control room, with the Tetris blocks for some reason. I don't know why. It's like, it did it, or did it not look like fucking Tetris? I mean...
It did.
Yeah, it's a good thing a kid beat that game recently, or we'd be in a lot of trouble. And all the scientists in there, they're wearing these, like, Evel Knievel looking outfits. They're these, like, silver, like, like, jumpsuits or something? I don't...
Yeah, like, some of them are wearing jumpsuits, like the head scientist, the professor, he's wearing, like, a silver lab coat for whatever reason.
I know, it's so weird. And I also love that the volcano that erupted is called Mount Devil.
Yeah, Mount Devil.
And it has, like, the cave has, like, it looks like a snake.
Yeah, like a giant snake skull coming out of the ground.
Oh, so is it, oh, what the hell was that Star Trek episode?
Oh, I was gonna make, like, a Tulsa Doom joke.
Oh, it could be, yeah, it could be Tulsa Doom, but there was a Star Trek episode with this cult that worshipped, like, this snake. There was this cave that looked kind of like a snake. Val. Yeah, Val. That's what it kind of looks like, Val. And it, like, the snake cave, like, it causes an avalanche. And the eyes start glowing, and that's when we first see Princess Dragon Mom.
Dragon Mom.
who looks like a Power Rangers villain.
Yes, she's got like blonde hair and she's dressed and
like horns. She has like
I'm
horns.
trying to remember who the villain is exactly from Power Rangers.
Rita
There's one
Repulsa.
that like
Rita Repulsa. That's what her name was.
Yeah,
I like looked at her.
Yeah.
I like looked at her and I was like thinking they had to like when they did Power Rangers they had to have taken inspiration from this because she looks so much like Rita Repulsa.
It's just give Rita Repulsa blonde hair and it's her.
Because she even has like the really pointy like breasts, on the costume.
Yeah.
And like the helmet looks like, oh my god, it's like. And that name, I mean, that might be the best villain name we've had on the podcast. It's so like just. It's perfect for a movie like this. I mean,
and the introduction to all the monsters is really funny because she appears first, then she just orders all of her minions to come out. Every time she cracks her whip, there's a jump cut, and more of those like skeleton soldiers show up.
I know, yeah, and also
and then the rest of the monsters just start bursting out of the walls.
The monsters like. The costumes are so ridiculous. Like one of them looks like I guess he was like a plant monster with like tentacles.
Yeah, and he's got like vines coming out of him, and it just looks like a glob of rubber.
There's like a bug monster, and like let me see if Wikipedia says what the names of some of these are. Fire dragon. Spider monster. Okay, the bug one was called Spider Monster.
Okay, it didn't look like a spider, but okay.
Plant monster was the green one. The blue mole-like monster with a drill for a hand and a shovel-like claw for another. That was Mutant Drill.
Okay.
Which is Megalon. That's fucking Megalon right there. Long-haired monster. That's it. That's the best you could. Okay.
I'm trying to remember what was the long hair monster.
It was the one with long hair that like looked like a witch.
Oh, okay. I remember.
And it was like shooting like yellow laser beams.
How can I forget him?
Fire dragon. Oh yeah, that's the one with the red mustache.
Yes.
And then, of course, there's, how can we forget, the skeleton ghosts, which those, oh my god, those ones, like, they're wearing these, like, black costumes with, like, that look, I don't know, they look like black Teletubbies.
Weird, almost skeleton.
They look like black Teletubbies, but with like skeletons drawn on and like horned helmets.
Yeah, they have like an outside rib cage and like a skull mask on, and that's really it.
And then there's She Demon, or Witch Eye, as she was called in the Chinese dub. But She Demon's the one.
She Demon has like really crappy paper mache hands that have eyes on them.
Yeah, which that made me think of. That makes me wonder if Guillermo del Toro saw this movie.
Oh, 100%. That's where he got the thing from Pan's
Labyrinth. The Pale Man, because the Pale Man has like the eyes on his hands. Or maybe it was an inspiration for Trioculus from the Jedi Prince books. Or was it Triclops? Trioculus or Triclops. But yeah, so all the... She's just summoning all the... Oh, another thing, there was like a... When she's summoning all those monsters, there's like this, like, gray capsule with like multicolored spots on it that look like candy or something that like just blew up or something. Like, what was that? What the hell was that?
Oh, that's right. I mean, okay, to be fair, just everything blows up in this movie.
Yes, if there are more explosions in this than in a Michael Bay movie. It's pretty ridiculous.
It's insane.
So yeah, all this shit's going on. There's all these monsters, and the monsters, they seem so excited to attack the Earth too.
Oh yeah.
They're just like dancing around, all jolly and stuff, and like making weird noises. And then I guess it was the Chinese leaders. They like decided to have a meeting.
Hmm.
And there was one line that I thought was hilarious. One of them says, and you might even know which one I'm talking about.
I'm trying to figure it out because I have so many lines from this written down.
He says, "Gentlemen, the situation at this time is so serious that it's the worst in human history." Or hearing that one and just being like, wow, that is like...
I mean, I don't know if you remember this, but when the Snake Fortress first came like out of the mountain, somebody said 10,000 people are dead, and the professor answered with, "Oh, well, that's weird."
It makes me wonder, like, was some of this supposed to be tongue in cheek, like, or did the...
I think some of it had to be, but
maybe the dub just ended up... It's hard to tell with foreign movies sometimes, you know.
And
the
then,
situation at this time is so serious that it's the worst in human history.
Worst in human history. And I don't know if this was a problem for you, but the version of the film that we watched, the subtitles were weird.
Mm-hmm. Well, what about
because
them is weird?
There would be no spaces between certain words.
I don't think I noticed that.
Interesting.
Well, I was watching the English dub, so I didn't have subtitles on.
Yeah, we watched the English dub, but we also had subtitles on just so we could understand what was happening.
And the one thing I was gonna say, that this has better pacing than the last movie we did on the podcast, which was
that's true.
Sith Wars. Sith Wars Episode 1, The Return of the Sith, I think was the full name.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so they decide they have to create Inframan.
Yeah, in order to fight off all these monsters.
Yeah, the including the skeletons with horn helmets. What the fuck? Another thing I found funny is that when Princess Dragon Mom summons the monster, she uses a TV that teleports them to her. So she's watching them on the TV, but then it like teleports. It's sort of like in like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory when they like put with Mike TV. But like while I was watching that, I was like thinking, is this like fucking Spaceballs now? Like, what the hell? And it looked so goofy too, like the effects on when they got teleported. So she just sends them out and they attack. Like one of them flips a car over. The plant monster like hides in a cardboard.
You can't skip over the car. Because he flips the car over, and then for no reason, the car explodes.
Oh, that's true, yeah. And also the guy that was in the car, he, like, gets out before he is able to flip it over.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might as well just say, like, everything explodes in this. I mean, you know.
That's fair.
It's like that, what the hell? The Robot Chicken did, like, a parody trailer called, Michael Bay Presents Explosions. It's literally just everything is exploding, like, you know, it's anyway. But yeah, the plant monster. Oh, this is another movie with a plant monster, I just realized.
Trying to remember what the
Thing from Another World. We also did Thing from Another World.
Oh, that's right, we do, yeah.
And they're both in the two oldest movies we've done on the podcast. And if you want to keep this up, we could do Day of the Triffids about the killer trees.
Oh, that one sounds fun.
It's a pretty entertaining one.
Oh, it's apparently based off of a novel.
I haven't read the book, yeah, but I will at some point. But yeah, so the plant man hides in a cardboard wall.
The effect that they used for that is really funny too, because they just recorded him like breaking out of the wall and then reversed it, so it looks like he's sealing the wall up behind him.
It does. And it's supposed to be a satellite. And then he grows bigger and starts attacking the control room. So like the Tetris one, it's just filled with tentacles, just all over the place, and it's pretty ridiculous stuff. Like,
Honestly, I wrote down that scene kind of reminded me of the Spider-Man 2 when Doc Ock wakes up scene.
It kind of, except that was done better in that movie.
Yes. But just the way that the tentacles are like grabbing and throwing everybody, somebody takes a saw to one of them at one point.
I was just laughing at that part because like the guy's getting thrown around, like just I don't know, the acting there. I just thought was funny.
And while all of this madness is going on, the professor is working to turn Rayma, who's the main character in the movie, into Inframan.
Yeah, and they're showing like X-rays of Inframan's like robot parts, and they look like drawings.
Yeah, no, it's like 1950s or 60s sci-fi drawings just overlaid over Rayma.
And so he transforms into a Power Ranger. He just instantly has the costumes. He just instantly has the costume on. Or, sorry. In other words, it's morphin' time. I was thinking that a lot during this movie.
And whenever he morphs, it is so funny what they do.
Because it's the same flashy effects you see at the beginning of the movie during the credits. Which I should have been doing drugs while watching this or something. Like, that would have been fitting.
Because each time it happens, they show, like, Inframan jumping from 3 different angles, and then he flies for 2 seconds, and then he jumps again, and then we're just back to the movie. It is so sudden and out of nowhere.
And the flying effect is just him, like, still while the background is moving. Kind of like the old... the old Superman show with George Reeves. And he can see and hear through walls. He also does a lot of flips.
Yes.
He shoots fire out of his feet. And he can, like, throw his fists out. I think they called that, like, Thunderbolt fists.
Something like that. He gets more powers as the movie goes on too. It's insane.
When they said Thunderbolt fist, at first I thought they said Thunderball fists, and I was like, wait, it's like the James Bond movie Thunderball. But then I realized, wait, they're probably saying Thunderbolt.
Yeah.
So yeah, he flies and like lands like near some people, and the people see him and they're like saying, hey, it's Inframan. They already know who Inframan is.
Yeah, he was created 5 minutes ago and everyone already knows who Inframan is.
How did it... And it also, again, it made me think of Superman, just like, look up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's Inframan. Or Super Inframan. I guess he does have, like, some of the same powers as Superman, but...
I guess he has a couple.
I don't remember Superman firing, like, flames out of his feet, but okay.
Honestly, that sounds like a Golden Age comic, something he would have been able to do.
Yeah. Does Inframan have Superman's brick wall repairing powers? Or Superman 4?
Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if Inframan can turn back time.
Oh, yeah. by like flying around the Earth really fast.
Yeah.
That would not be
No, not even that. He'd probably just
movie.
have to spin in place really fast to be able to turn the Earth around or to reverse time or whatever.
But yeah, so he goes and he fights the plant monster. He's like throwing him against trees and stuff.
That fight is so funny because Inframan's just throwing him everywhere, and then the plant guy just starts teleporting around. It gets so confusing to watch.
And would you believe it, this is not the only fight in this movie. There will be, like 15 more of them? It felt like every other scene was a fight scene. It was ridiculous.
It pretty much was.
The entire movie felt like just endless fight scenes. It's like somebody just took a bunch of random Power Rangers episodes and just edited out all the scenes except the fight scenes. And that's kind of
they took out all of the plot scenes.
Yeah, all the scenes of them like at the school and stuff, just teen drama and all that. And it's just out.
I would like
fight scenes. Sorry,
I would like to read to you these 2 notes that I took down during this fight scene.
Oh boy.
Wait, why does the tentacle thing teleport? And then, why is everything exploding? Because it gets to a certain point where Inframan just throws it around, it hits the ground, there's an explosion, then he teleports, and they just do it over and over again for like 5 minutes.
There's so many explosions in this movie that like Michael Bay would be jealous. I mean, it's ridiculous. And this is such a short movie too, like...
Yeah.
I'll bet there's like one explosion per minute of this movie.
It happens so often.
Another part I thought was funny is like the villains, they capture one of the guys from the control room and they brainwash him with a yellow laser, and they like show this diagram of his like brain chemistry, and you even see the picture.
You can see the evil taking over while he gets brainwashed.
And then he like lets out this scream. I found his scream so funny because it was just so over the top that I couldn't help it. Like, and then later I think he's like, they show him with like glowing green eyes.
Yeah. Okay, it's not just that they show him with glowing green eyes. It like freeze frames on him for like 2 or 3 seconds so that they could make his eyes green.
And I remember when I saw him with the green eyes, I was like, "Wait, what? What is going on here?" And then there's like motorcycles. There's like, okay.
There's a big motorcycle. Not even a chase. It's just all the scientists show up on motorcycles to fight a bunch of the monsters and skeleton dudes.
And they're like fighting on like a sand hill, and like it was just getting so silly, and I was like going, I don't even know what's happening at this point. And then more motorcycles show up.
And so there's that weird, like, long-haired monster just shooting lasers everywhere. There's a bug monster that's just really good at kung fu for whatever reason.
I wasn't even sure how to describe some of these. I called the long-haired monster a woolly bully. Because it made me think of that song, by Sam the Sham and the Pharaohs. There's a really dated reference, but... And then Inframan shows up, it's morphin' time. And we get a part, oh god, this part was ridiculous. Like, the Bugman grows big, and so does Inframan, and they fight near some power lines.
It makes no sense, because the bug thing grows, and you're like, oh, now it's gonna be like a giant monster. Out of nowhere, Inframan just grows too. There's no reason given. We don't know that was one of his powers. It just happens.
But then all of a sudden, the bug monster isn't big, and then Inframan just steps on it. Like, because he's
And
a
like it has
bug.
like it like oozes green blood when he steps on it too. It's like weirdly graphic for this movie.
That was one of the moments that made me wonder if this was supposed to be tongue-in-cheek or not. Because that part clearly had to have been, like...
Yeah, yeah. And then he fights the long-haired monster that could shoot lasers out of its eyes. And then Inframan can just shoot lasers out of his eyes too.
I kind of gave up trying to write notes during the fight scenes, I'm gonna be honest, because I was like going,
It was so hard because they just get so insane after a certain point.
And they're so fast, too, like... I know there's, like, a part where they go underground, and there's, like, this monster of, like, drills.
Yeah, and like trying to lay dynamite underneath the research lab.
And this was one part where it kind of slowed down, because it started focusing on these, like, annoying kids, and,
Yeah, I think they were supposed to be the professor's family.
Yeah, and the professor is also there. It was just kind of like, I was like going, I don't care, just get back to Ultraman, or Inframan.
It was at this point.
Inframan.
It was at this point that I wrote down. I have no idea what Inframan's powers are.
I know, because like there's a part
because
where
he kind of just seems to be able to do whatever he wants to do.
there's a part where Princess Dragon Mom wants Clouds to block the sun because apparently Inframan...
and she just says, Inframan, he gets his power from the sun, so if I block the sun, he won't have his power.
So is Inframan Nuclear Man, then?
Well, I don't know if you remember this, but then she blocks the sun with clouds, and it doesn't do anything.
It doesn't work,
He doesn't lose his powers.
I know, yeah, that was another thing. So he's more powerful than Nuclear Man, at least. Granted, it doesn't take much. I feel like I was looking at the trivia, and it said something about this. Give me a second.
Because that was so confusing, because she made a big deal about, we can beat him if we take out, the sun, but then nothing happens when she does.
I found it. The English dubbed version of the film, which is the version we both watched, accidentally created a plot hole in it by saying that Inframan was powered by the sun, yet when Princess Dragon Mom sends Clouds to blot out the sun, he does not lose his power. In the original Chinese version of the film's dialogue, it's made clear that only his solar ray weapon is powered by the sun, and it does stop working when the clouds blot out the sun.
So he has one power that needs the sun. Got it.
And it doesn't help them much, because he still kicks everybody's asses. But yeah, well, they said he got his power from the sun. I was getting bad flashbacks to Nuclear Man from Superman 4. There's one part when the monsters kidnap the professor. They're like driving a boat.
Yeah, and it's like playing, so I watched this with my friends. One of them said that it sounded like Miami Vice music while they were driving the boat.
It probably was, yeah. It was probably, well, no, wait, this is before. Huh. Okay, so it wasn't intentional then, unless they added it later. But yeah, just the image of the monster, like, driving a boat. And it's just a normal boat, too. Like,
yeah.
I just found that so funny. And the professor looks so out of place there, too.
So then, Princess Dragon Mom starts trying to question the professor. And this was the funniest part of the movie to me, by the way.
Okay.
So she was showing the guy that they brainwashed earlier, and she was like, I have no use for him anymore. Drops him through a trapdoor in the ground that we've never seen before, and then we find out that she just has a pit to hell just in her evil villain lair, and so we just see this guy get dropped into hell all of a sudden.
I thought it was lava.
It looks like it's probably lava, but it looks like a hell pit.
Because we established earlier in the movie that what woke her up was that a volcano went off, so I just assumed her lair. I just assumed she has a volcano lair.
That's probably what it is, but it looked like a hell pit when they first showed it.
It did, to be fair. At first I didn't know what was going on, but I kind of just put two and two together and thought, okay, lava, volcano, I guess. But yeah, it was a really funny scene, because, like, I don't know, the effects on it were just so funny.
And it comes out of nowhere, too, which is the best
acting,
part.
like, the acting is, like, granted, part of it is because it was the English dub, but, like...
Yeah.
I'm glad I watched the English dub, because that made it funnier.
Yeah.
We get more fighting. This is where the monster with the red mustache shows up.
Oh, yeah, does that one breathe fire? Am I thinking of the right one? Okay.
Yes. Princess Dragon Mom tries dropping Inframan in lava, but he survives.
He's able to just jump out of it because he's Inframan and can't be killed by anything, apparently.
You think it'd be hard for him to get out of there, but actually it's super easy, barely an inconvenience. And, okay, I was hoping they would do more with this, but... Princess Dragon Mom kidnapped the professor.
Yes.
And she wants him to build an evil Inframan.
Which he refuses to do, and I kind of agree. It would have been great to have an evil Inframan who can just do all of this insane shit, too.
But it would probably just be like, okay, he just has the same powers as Inframan, so it would be just two Power Rangers fighting each other, basically. But it would have been so funny if they'd actually, like,
been, yeah.
Maybe it could have been like Superman 3, where Superman just starts acting evil and, like, destroying stuff and, like, being a nuisance. Like, it could have been like that. Like, people think, oh, it's Inframan, but it's the evil. Or Spider-Man 3, it could be like that.
Yeah.
But no, they didn't do that. But yeah, there is so much fighting in this. It was so ridiculous. Like, it was like getting to the point where I was like thinking back to Turkish Star Wars, although it wasn't quite as much of an onslaught as Turkish Star Wars.
Okay, you say that, but, like, from this point on, the movie is just insane with its fight scenes.
The ending is like batshit insane. But, like, I think part of why Turkish Star Wars is more crazy to me is just the editing is way more hectic in that.
That's fair.
But yeah, this movie can't go
the hell pit,
This movie can't go 5 minutes without, like, a fight scene. It's absurd.
So after Inframan jumps out of the hell pit that had no effect on him, he fights She-Demon for like 5 seconds and just cuts off her hands and throws her down the hell pit too. It is so fast. And I don't know if you noticed this, but she hits her head on the rocks on the way down.
Oh, ouch. Yeah. He cut off her hands, so now she only has 2 eyes instead of 4.
Exactly.
Which, if you're gonna have more than 2 eyes, why would you want them on your hands? I mean, granted, you could ask the same thing of the Pale Man from Pan's Labyrinth. Kinda wanna watch Pan's Labyrinth again, actually. There's these robots that, like, attack him, and they, like, shoot their heads at Inframan.
Okay, so
like,
this
on wires
was the scene
or
that I
something.
saw. So they're called the Iron Armor Monsters, according to Wikipedia. So, like, these 2 knights, they have spiked balls for one hand that are on springs, and their heads are on springs. And so they keep launching, like, their body parts at Inframan, and the fight is so funny.
And they have, like, it looked like they had, like, those spine things from Mario, the red ones.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It looked like they had those for hands.
There's one point where Inframan punches one of them. He falls down, springs back up, gets punched a second time, falls down, springs back up, gets punched a third time, falls down, springs back up, and gets punched a fourth time, falls down, and springs back up. It's like the same shot over and over again. It is so funny.
It would repeat shots sometimes, especially of Inframan. Like sometimes he would do like multiple like backflips or something. They really wanted you to know that Inframan can do backflips. I have to ask, so you were watching this with a group of people.
Yes.
How are they reacting to all of this?
They were absolutely dying at the final fight. It is just such a funny sequence.
Because this part at the end is so fucking ridiculous.
There's one that he turns upside down and the knight starts bouncing on his head, like, down the stairs.
The next part, okay, this next sequence of events, this is the part that really killed me. So,
it is so funny.
They basically turn Inframan into Snowman because they, like, freeze him. And it looks like when, if you want another kind of obscure 70s foreign movie that's a bit nuts, Star Crash, there's a part where they, like, well, it's different, but, like, the effects of them freezing look kind of similar in that one. But in that one, basically, you know what? We should just do Star Crash at some point on this podcast.
Sure, let's add it to the list.
I've seen it like 4 times, and it's one of the funniest things. It's a Star Wars ripoff. If you don't, I don't know how much you.
Of course.
No, I don't know how much you know about it. I've mentioned it
basically
a few times.
nothing.
Okay, good. Actually, because.
All right, so
but what happened in that scene was the two of the main characters, they like freeze themselves on this planet and then get thawed out on the ship later. It's so weird. I kind of want to do Star Crash at some point. Okay, but yeah, Inframan freezes. But that doesn't last very long, because then he just ends up falling out anyway.
Well, okay, not just that, but he's frozen and he thinks, and he has a flashback to something we've never seen in the movie, where the professor tells him, if you're ever frozen, you can use your missiles to thaw yourself out.
Oh my god.
It is so weird and just out of nowhere.
I know, yeah. That's a good description for this movie. It's so weird and out of nowhere.
And then, after he thaws himself out, he has...
this next part. Okay, so Princess Dragon Mom. Apparently that name is very fitting because she turns into a dragon.
Yes. Then,
so I guess she's like Maleficent.
Yeah. And then Inframan,
he starts shooting lasers at her head, but apparently she's a Hydra because her head keeps growing back. So there's just all these like severed heads like on the ground, but her head like keeps growing back on her neck.
He cuts her head off 5 times.
Inframan just gives up and blows her up.
It's such a good ending.
Why wouldn't you just blow her up then in that case?
Yeah, like, why wouldn't you start with that? Why'd you try to cut her head off 5 times? And all the heads are like just piled up on the ground in front of her too.
That was one of the funniest parts. That's such an insane ending. Like, we might have found a. Well, no. It doesn't quite top Rambo 3's ridiculous death scenes, but this was...
It's not quite, but it is still just insanely just hilarious.
It's close. And yeah, then the lair just blows up and they escape. Like the ending of a James Bond movie. I guess it is a volcano lair, so it'd be, You Only Live Twice then, in that case. Or, which one of the Austin Powers movies had the volcano?
Was that the first one?
I think it was either the first or the second one. The second one had the moon base.
Yeah.
So it would be the first one then, yeah. I'd like to see them do like an Austin Powers style parody of this movie. Grant, maybe you don't have to. The movie's already ridiculous.
You know what I wrote
enough.
down? I wrote down I would love to see like a Kung Pao version of this movie.
Oh yeah, that'd be hilarious. That'd be hilarious. So is there anything else to add about the sequence of events that happen in this?
Fair.
Is that it? Is that all you have?
Yeah.
I'm out of notes with that. So.
Yeah.
Overall thoughts.
This movie is insane.
It's my favorite Power Rangers movie. So, it was pretty nonsensical and stupid, but it was fun to watch.
Yeah.
If you like just weird, like... If you like some of the Godzilla
movies,
if you like some of the Godzilla movies from the 70s and like weird martial arts type movies or Power Rangers, you'd probably like this. So, I was just like trying to find if Riff Tracks did this one, and apparently they haven't, which they should change because. That would be...
Yeah, no, this one needs a Riff Tracks.
This would be perfect, yeah. I would watch that. That'd be really funny. And I mean, what else can you say about a movie that has a villain named Princess Dragon Mom in it? Like, even beyond that, though, okay. The set design, you can tell they put some effort into, like, set design and, like... actual explosions. There were a lot of those. You know, that takes a lot of work.
The rubber suits weren't super great, but a lot of like the effects were pretty good. The choreography was pretty good.
Yeah.
You can tell there was a lot of passion behind this movie.
Yeah, whoever made this really, really wanted to make this movie, and it shows.
Yes.
Oh my god, wait. Wikipedia. There's one section of Wikipedia that just says powers of Inframan.
Okay.
Change Inframan, which is, well, what do you think that is?
Yeah, it's his transformation.
He has missiles stored below his ribs, and he shoots them like darts, and they could also thaw him out while he's frozen.
Naturally.
Which is called Erupting Bullets. Solar Armor, which he shoots a stream of light from his wrists when crossing them together. Like Ultraman's Spacium Light Ray. So yeah, this definitely ripped off Ultraman. Guided Kick, which is his kick attack.
Is that the one where he jumps up and shoots fire out of his heels, or is that something else?
It might be. This can also locate its targeted enemy like a guided missile. So yeah, probably. That's probably that one. Capacity transmission. Inframan activates his backup power source in case of lack of solar power.
Oh, okay.
Which comes in handy for him, because he loses his solar power. Flashing Thunder Fists. Or Thunderball Fists. Okay. It was Thunderball. Okay, I did hear that right.
Interesting.
Which is where he shoots his, like, gloves at people, basically. Deadly Light Blades. the red moon-shaped energy blades that stream from the flashing thunder fist. Oh, this one's very descriptive. Thunder and lightning aura. It just says, like the solar armor, but more powerful.
I don't remember that ever being used.
I don't know. Must have been his backup energy or something. And then he also has the power to grow to gigantic size, similar to Ultraman's power to change size. So again, ripping off Ultraman. But yeah, it's just... Oh my god, this movie was ridiculous. Oh, apparently the tagline, Man Beyond Bionics, was trying to capitalize on the $6 million man's success on American television at the time.
That makes sense.
And yeah, it's nuts. This movie is just crazy. I don't think we did it justice, because you kind of just have to...
Yeah, no, this is something that is best watched with a group of people and no expectations.
Yeah, like you did, which it sounds like you watched it with, like, just the perfect, like...
Yeah.
Audience. Do you have any highlights from that viewing, or...
Definitely the last scene. Most of, like, the movie was just, like, we were kind of laughing at some of the fights and then just confused at the plot. But the very end of the movie is worth it. Just that last fight scene.
And watching this, it kind of made me think, maybe I should watch more Power Rangers. It's been a while. Because I used to watch that quite a bit as a kid. I had a lot of Power Rangers action figures. I was younger. And Inframan basically just is a Power Ranger. I mean, his powers are so similar. And, like, the fight scenes, it's so... Any Power Rangers fans out there, if you haven't seen this movie, you might like it, because it's,
yeah,
pretty spot on to Power Rangers. I feel like we're gonna have trouble topping this one going forward, but who knows, maybe.
Yeah, because it just hit this sweet spot.
Although, granted, nothing we've done has been able to top, Quantum Quest or Cassini Space Odyssey. So, is there, like, a sequel to this?
I don't think there is.
I guess the closest would just be Power Rangers, I mean.
Yeah. Maybe one of the Ultraman movies.
Oh, there are Ultraman movies. Do you want to do an Ultraman movie at some point?
Honestly, that might be kind of fun.
The first one came out in 1967. I don't know if they're any good or not, but I'm trying to remember if I've seen any of them. I might have, but I don't remember. There's a lot of them, apparently. I'm surprised at how many Ultraman things there are. Okay, I did see one, actually.
Oh, okay.
Hanuman and the Seven Ultramen.
That sounds wonderful.
Oh, and then there was a sequel called Hanuman and the Five Kamen Riders, because that was another one of those shows, was Kamen.
Yeah, the Kamen Rider.
Kamen Rider, however it's pronounced, yeah. And we should do an Ultraman movie at some point. We'll have to find one. I'll, like, try and look for, like, what's the most ridiculous one, and we'll do that one.
Yeah.
So say, like, if we're gonna do a Godzilla movie, I'd want to do one of the more ridiculous ones. So, like, Godzilla versus Megalon maybe would be a good one, or Godzilla versus Gigan. Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. One of the 70s ones, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Or we could do a Power Rangers movie. There's plenty of ones to choose from.
Please, no.
I've only seen... I've seen 2 of them.
I've seen bits of one of them, I think.
And I know I've watched the show. Because I used to watch the show sometimes as a kid. I tried watching it again recently because it was like on Netflix. I was like, oh my god, this is so much cornier than I remember. There's Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. I've seen that one. And the villain in that is actually played by Belloc.
Oh, really?
Belloc plays Ivan Ooze in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. And then I saw the 2017 one, where Bryan Cranston played Zordon.
Huh.
Yeah, I didn't see Turbo, a Power Rangers movie, though. That's the one of the ones I haven't seen. We'll have to figure out, because we're gonna have to figure out some more future podcasts. I know you said you wanted to do a good movie, so
yeah, maybe after our next movie we can do a good movie.
Yeah, so maybe we could wait on Star Crash and like Ultraman and so.
Yeah, and I do actually have a few ideas, but we'll talk about those later.
Yeah, we can talk about that. Our next podcast is another movie set in the future. It's not set in 2015. It's set in 2020.
The far-off future.
Which, if anybody remembers that year, a lot happened, including Texas Gladiators. That's the name of the movie. 2020 Texas Gladiators. I don't know what the hell this is, but I think, was it you that brought this to my attention?
Yes. I don't remember how... Oh, I found it because of the TV Doctor Strange movie.
You're right, yes. So I think it's your fault.
Yes, because Peter Hooton, who played Doctor Strange in the TV Doctor Strange movie, played a character in 2020 Texas Gladiators.
Oh my god. So yeah, this was one you wanted to do then in that case. So I think I was the one that... Was I the one that I might have been the one that suggested Inframan. I think I might have been the one that wanted to do that. And you're the one that wanted to do 2020 Texas Gladiators. It'll be our first Italian movie on the podcast.
Oh boy.
If we do Star Crash, we'll be doing another one at some point. So. Yeah.
Well, until then, roll the Andy Griffith.
Good night, you stupid idiot. Good night, you miserable slob.